Oh, I'm live. Hey, hi, everybody. Hi, Casey, Sarah, Christy. How are you all? As you know, I'm Regina, and you are you. Oh, here we are today. And I just realized I don't have my list. 1 minute, please. How unprofessional was that? So, hey, let's get right down to business. Always business to take care of. And if I don't have it written down, now I've got my, you get all sat and everything, and then you move like that, and all goes to hell. My dog is like, oh, you're talking. It must be to me. Look at this. Look at this. He wants to be on the show today. So, welcome to Conversation with Regina. If you like what you see here, please subscribe and give us all the likes that you can. It helps out in the end, get those old algorithms going. Not that I play the algorithm game very much, but every little bit helps. And the more subscribers and everything, the better off we are. More people in the chat and more this, more that. And oh gosh. So here we are. We got 7 people here already. Who have I missed? Oh, hiya, Hera. And Naya. And have I missed anybody yet? So like away. Anyway, oh my gosh, what am I talking about? It's time to give a shout out to everybody's channel that I know. And since Naya's here, she's got a great channel called Vintage Vanity, and then Diana Salome's got a great channel, and Chloe Connection is good, although Chloe doesn't come here, and Brittany D also has a good channel, and then Beyond Trans with Marty on the Sunday afternoon show. Gosh, I really got into last Sunday's show. The last couple of shows have been really good over there. I love the one with Kate Bornstein, and I love the one last week with Velvet as well, And so let's see what I don't even know what's coming up for this Sunday. So let's just wait and find out. So anyway, on to the coffee. Ray's Roast Coffee. This channel is brought to you by Ray's Roast Coffee. And I am the barista and head roaster. I'm the only roaster. We're just a little coffee roasting business up here in Washington State. And we have one of the finer coffees, I like to say, in Eastern Washington. Some of my customers like to say in Washington. And, it is an amazing little business. We kind of specialize in single origin varietals. And then there's always the Queen's blend, which is a blend that I've come up with. It has really been quite popular for the 6 years that I've been in business. And there's actually 2 different roasts for it now and that I sell. There's the 10-ton roast, which is a light version. And then there's my original Queen's blend, which is a darker version. And so we're online at www.rays, REYS, regina.com. And today I'm drinking a coffee that I ordered in. It's really a kind of an expensive deal. It cost me quite a bit to get it in a green bean form. And so I only bought 20 pounds, and we'll be doing a Christmas promotion with this later on. But I was just checking it out to see. I almost blew this cup of coffee. God, the filter in the bottom of the AeroPress was in crooked, and oh my God. When you're looking at $5 a cup, it's kind of spooky when you start ruining something. But anyway, so that gets us down to who's here in the chat room. And I think I've said, there's Diana. She's here now. Hi, Diana. And oh, thank you. I just felt like dressing up today. I found these earrings yesterday, and they kind of went with this dress. And I just couldn't resist. So thank you for noticing. And anybody, have I missed anybody? Holly, there's Holly. Hi, Holly. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and see who I've missed, if I've missed anybody. I don't think so, or anybody that wants to chat anyway. So thank you, Diana. Yeah, it goes with my eyes. What can I say? So I wanted to talk about emotions a little bit today, and the things that we've discovered with adding a little estrogen in our lives, and just really what it was like before and what happened and what it's like now, kind of deal. And I had this experience the other day where I felt like I got emotion shamed, and it's kind of a funny story, but I don't want to go into great details, but gosh, I was talking to somebody, and they were talking about how their life was changing, and I thought it was just this great change for them, but it changed our relationship to a certain, hey, Beeble, to a certain extent. And so as we're talking, all of a sudden I got choked up and was near bursting into tears. Hi, Lulu. And oh my stars, she became offended and talked to me about, why am I crying? And I said, because I'm happy. And it was just kind of weird, I mean, I embrace the fact today that I can cry because, y'all know that I transitioned, almost 6 years ago now? Oh, for heaven's sakes, be 6 years in January. Yeah. And prior to that, I mean, add another 5 years on there. And prior to that, you wouldn't catch a tear in my frickin' eye. You wouldn't, if I started to have a lump in my throat about something, it wasn't going to happen. I would turn around, walk away or whatever, it was one of those things I was hiding, and it just wasn't going to happen. Not on my watch would be kind of the way I would look at it, as it was too not manly enough. And so, I struggled with that through my entire adult life. And there's other places where you can, hear about that, and we're all starting to know me well enough to know that I transitioned in my 60s, and you know, and probably for 5 years before, I would like sometimes be sitting watching TV and a commercial would come on that would be this heartwarming, you know, Christmas time shit. I couldn't even watch television hardly because I would cry. And I just couldn't figure out. And of course, you know, why I was doing that, but it was because I was slipping into the rabbit hole and just learning how to be authentic and hey, bye-bye, Breeble. I'm glad you stopped in for a bit. So anyway, you know, and so now if I get emotional about something, I really kind of embrace that fact. You know, because I can, and it's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with crying. If I'm crying because I'm happy for somebody, that is just freaking frosting on the cake, so to speak. And you know, some of it was, you know, the last 5 years before HRT, Christy, I was pretty emotional, you know, and I didn't understand what the heck was going on, you know, maybe the last year or two before HRT. But, you know, I've talked about the book by Bethany Beeler about how to not know you're trans until you're 54. And she really reflects a lot of my story. I mean, and so that's just really is my story, and so I love the fact that I can cry, that I can have emotions that are other than the anger and rage that I had in my younger days, and you know, those are not good emotions, and I'm luckily enough, I really don't have those often anymore, you know, and I'm sure that it oh, and that reminds me of something that I was going to read before I started talking because I thought it was kind of pertinent to today's, and it's really short. It's a parable written by Khalil Gibran. And you guys know how I love this book. Where there? Oh, it's backwards. The Madman, Parables and Poems. And this is entitled The New Pleasure. And so last night, I invented a new pleasure. And as I was giving it the first trial, an angel and a devil came rushing toward my house. They met at my door and fought with each other over my newly created pleasure. The one crying, "It is a sin," and the other, "It is a virtue." And so I really kind of thought, you know, that related to what I'm talking about here with emotions, because so often, you know, we try to hide those emotions, those things, because they indicate weakness, which they don't. You know, I mean, I was brought up to where, because I was a little crybaby, I was the baby of the family and whatnot, and so, you know, I cried a lot, and so the you know, and then I was always told to cover that up, you know, don't do that. That's not a good thing, you know, and so you learn how to stuff that stuff. Boom, boom, boom. And that's the way my life was. And so, like I say, rage would boil up, which is not a good emotion. That's bad. And we understood that. But, also back in those days, that's what men got pissed, and it was perfectly acceptable. And I don't find rage or anything to be acceptable at all, and so there we are. And now in this state that I live in, I find emotional things like crying and whatnot to be a good thing, because it's cleansing of my inner turmoil or whatever's going on inside. It cleanses it out. If my heart feels some kind of joy or not, or the opposite, and I would decide I want to cry about it, I'm fine with that. I'm fine, because I can, and I will, and I do. I often sit here watching TV and watching a movie or something and crying. It drives me crazy sometimes. My poor dog, because Tank will come put his head on my lap, and we'll sit here and cry together. He offers me his support, and what more can you ask of your dog? He's perfect. So anyway, what do you guys think? How's your emotional? What was it before HRT? What was it after? What was it, when you first started HRT? I didn't notice a spike in my emotion. If anything, I flatlined out a little bit. And now, it's kind of, I think, pretty normal. I don't cry at the drop of a hat. Well, maybe I do, but who cares? I just don't even worry about it anymore. But I didn't particularly appreciate getting shamed for it the other day. It was kind of funny, but obviously it affected me because I'm still talking about it. And that's fair. So I'm reading kind of down here. Sarah's talking about her husband being emotive. That's cool. And how about you, Sarah? How emotive are you? And oh, thanks, Naya, about the quality of the video. I got installed. I haven't put on the software to add the banners and whatnot, because that really seemed to slow everything down. And so I've changed the settings on that, and I'm going to try and get back to the defaults later this week. Oh, mercy. So what silly things is Casey doing? Too mean to cry. Oh, my stars, Diane. I don't think you're mean at all. Come on now. So Casey, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what. HRT kind of took the rage, right? Of course, I had been working to get rid of rage for a long time. And so that's probably true. Yeah, I agree, Naya, or I don't disagree for sure. So I've just been kind of like wondering what everybody else's experience has been with it, because when I would run into people when I first started transitioning, everybody was like of like the emotional uh, drama that would come from starting HRT, and I really didn't see any of that. I just saw everything kind of getting the way I always thought it should be. And what HRT did for me was make me feel like I was whole, authentic, made me a nicer, more outgoing person. And you know, I always thought I was kind of an ass or whatnot, but that was certainly back from the alcohol and drug fueled days too. I was a bigger ass then than I was after I sobered up, but I really wasn't really quite very emotive or anything else either. Hey, Laura. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, it's good to see you here, even if you can't stay. Uh, Excuse me for reading again here. So, trying to keep up. Oh, okay. That's your silly things. Cool. I got you now, Casey. Casey and Christy are my wrenches, and keeping everything safe in the chat room, and they do a marvelous job. So why do we hear about this emotional roller coaster? Is there anybody here that had the emotional roller coaster when they started HRT? Just out of curiosity. Just out of curiosity. Oh, so we're really got it going on here today. I'm really kind of excited to be here. So let's see what else is being said. I know what else I wanted to talk about. I've been on this preacher's butt, due to the election, And anyway, my friend, she's a little old Christian lady that lives over in the Tri-Cities, and she sends me political stuff to give my opinion on. And she sent me this post from this preacher the other day, and like he's like totally dissing evangelical preachers. And I don't disagree with a damn thing he said. Not at all. Except for one thing. He didn't offer up a solution. He was like placing himself on a plane higher than these people, which makes him, even with those people, if he doesn't come up with a solution. And so I wrote it back. I wrote a big, long opine back about my opinion and about, his self-righteous, we're all just human beings. And to say I'm not going to talk to anybody because of their opinion about something is kind of puts you in the same place, because it's hate. And that just drives me crazy. And so then the next day, I didn't know that this cat was a preacher at that time. And so then the next day she sent me another from an article that he had published, and then that's when I caught on that he was a preacher. And he's talking about forgiveness, and how everybody was so anti-Obama, and Obama was pretty squeaky clean. These same people are saying it's okay to like Trump, and how they've forgiven him and whatnot, but he offers them no forgiveness, and so there again, he just brought himself down on that same plane, and so I think when our new president talks about uniting the country, I'm not a big Joe Biden fan, but I'm going to give him some credit here, because in his speech the other night, he talked about bringing the country together. Now, if we continue to hate those who hate us, we're no better. We are no better than those folks. And so what I'm offering up here is the solution is we open our hearts and do the best we can. And I know this is not an easy thing. It's not easy for me, and I don't expect it to be easy for anybody else. And so I have to open my heart to show love, compassion, and kindness to these people who might or might not be in agreement with me and my policies and the way that I live or whatever. And it just makes sense to me. And I don't expect anybody else to you do what you want, but this is the way I see it. And so thank you for listening. And thank you, Simone. And that's just the way I feel about stuff. I mean, we're all human beings in this world. Let's get rid of these divisions and gender divisions and orientation divisions and political divisions and anything. Let's blur those lines right out of existence, and let's just be human beings. And we don't have to agree on every dang thing that there is to agree on. I mean, oh my God, how boring would it be if everybody in the whole world was like me? Oh my God. That's a thought that I just shudder. I love the differences amongst people. And so I don't really care about political difference. In my community, it's 70% the other side. And so if I don't accept some of them as my friends, I'm pretty lonely, because a lot of people that I agree with, I'm not that good of friends with. And so let's just keep being real and being human and trying to get along. What is it the Dalai Lama says about his religion? His religion is kindness. And I don't know. You can see obviously that I get passionate about this line of thinking, and so anyway, one label, you got it, human, and so that's the way I am. And so, Simone, have you been here before? God, I've been coughing and coughing today. I don't know whether I roasted coffee the other night without my mask on or what. So, oh, okay, kind of. Well, welcome. I'm glad to see you in the chat room. That's right. I mean, we've got to. Would go a long way, especially with the youth in the educational system. And that is so true. But, part of that whole thing about us not being allowed to survive, a lot of the followers of those people of that last administration are the one that's still going on today. Didn't even know that they were trying to eradicate us. I mean, I've told the story a lot of times about that little old lady that I was talking to in the coffee shop, and she asked about my support of the president, and I said, it's pretty hard to support somebody that thinks I shouldn't exist. And she said, oh, that's not true. And thankfully, her daughter was sitting there beside me and said, yes, it is, Mom. And she got this surprised look on her face. And I mean, that's the kind of thing that we can do if we continue to talk. And that lady and I are still friends today. We both sit on the board of the theater, and a wonderful person. She, and I don't know how to express, the feelings I have for people, that are different from me, Doesn't mean that I have to agree with them. I just have to accept that they think different than I do. And it's okay to a point, to a point. There is things that I cannot, I have to accept that they feel that way, but I can work to undo that thinking. And boy, Naya, I couldn't have said that better. Here's Naya, she's saying, I find the millennials to be really cool and accepting of the LGBT community and a lot more progressive, educated, and concerned with the world and equality issues. I could not agree more. And I am so looking forward to those kids being the political powerhouse that they are going to be. And I'm saying, let's just skip over. Let's get everybody that's in my age bracket out of politics, skip over the next generation, and go right straight to those guys. No offense to the next generation, but I think we need to skip down to the ones that are, the millennials. No offense to anyone intended, but I feel as though my generation has pretty much failed humanity. So let's move on. Anyway, they hold the keys to the future and the new world. Amen. So, Simone, you're from Portland. Cool. Well, you're not very far. Yeah, what, 4 hours? 4 hours away. I'll meet you halfway. Or actually, I would go to, what's the name of that place? Stevenson. I love it there. Skamania County. Oh, my God. They're along the Wind River. What is that Wind River? There's a hot springs up there, a little funky place up there. So, yeah, we could go there for a weekend. Well, Regina, remember that our generation was also very progressive. I'm shocked to see how conservative many had become. Oh my God, yeah, yeah. Well, it was the apathy, after Vietnam got over and the economy started improving, and Reagan came along and made everything important about that, and we all became apathetic, or some did. At least I've tried my ideals over the years. I'm still pretty much an anti-war person. Um, Well, Christy, I am not ready to give up on the older generation. I have found that some are much more accepting as they have aged, since they've seen more of life and its variety. However, yeah. I mean, majority of my friends are my age, or I don't know. I don't know if that's true. My friends come from all age groups and all walks of life, and but I have a lot of older friends too. The one I was always surprised about was my deceased partner's mother. She was like 90 when she was 92, I think, when Mickey passed away, and she lived a couple more years. And she was very accepting of me. She remained to be the only member of the family that kept in touch with me. I mean, and she, every time she'd see me go by her house, she would like signal for me to come in and sit with her, and she would sit there and we'd hold hands and just sometimes just sit quietly. And she was in her 90s, and she really didn't care. Um, so yeah, so what you say is true, but there's a lot of I could go on forever, but I'm not going to go down that path. I still think that our future is in the millennials. Amen. Diana, well, even if they accept us as having a right to exist, many will never see us as women. They see us as a third sex. So true, because that little old lady, 92 years old, would still misgender me. And there's no point in even trying to, alienate them. So you just like grin and bear it. Well, Holly, good deal. I'm glad to hear that, and that's the community that I live in. Chrissy, interesting point. It's been my thought for 30 years. The best way to make things better is if we come out and people understand they already knew us before, and we are not that different from everyone else. That's what you would think. And that is not my experience, interestingly enough. Right here in this community, there is two men. One is my age, and the other one is a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 years older. I don't know exactly. And they were people who would come into my coffee shop, and the three of us would sit there and talk about recovery and whatnot. And so when I told them that I was going to transition, it was not pretty. And while one of them and I still, I talked to both of them, but it's very separated. It's not the same as it once was. it's working back to that, but it'll never be the same. Um, they really struggled with it, and it's their loss. And finally, I just had to get away from them. I've been a member of AA for a long time, and we were all in the going to meetings, and I quit going because of them. And much that put my own sobriety, and so one has to be careful. Yeah, so be careful when you go around telling people that you're coming out, and because it might change their opine. And well, yeah, that third sex thing that you're talking about, Yahara, is interesting, because I started reading the Kate Bornstein book this morning, and that's almost where she's at with that, and neither identifies as man or woman, and I find that interesting, and so that was one reason why I wanted to read the book. So here we go. I think there are exceptions to everything, and not all older people are narrow-minded and unwilling to learn, grow, and accept the changing world and ideas around gender identity and life in general. Good observation. Yeah, that's true. It's like putting a stereotype on everybody. So that's true with everything, really, because there's millennials that really don't want the world to change any, and much more difficult for people of color. Well, I kind of agree with you, Casey. I don't know. I I'm at a loss for don't matter to me, but it does matter to folks, and you know you're my good friend. That's all I can say. Simone, I like what you just said, which reminds me of the thing that I saw on, what was that show that used to be on Amazon, Transparent. And in the first episode or second episode, Maura was talking to Davinia, and Davinia said, well, after 5 years, you got all different friends anyway, whether they accept you or not. And so here we are, and 5 years down the road, my friends are a lot different today than they were 5 years ago. Hey, Eva's here. Hi, Eva. Good to see you here today. So right on, Holly. So now we got to get rid of the haters again. So, or at least get them to shut up. what did, oh, oh gosh. I'm trying to catch up here. Well, I think that's true, Naya, that we're not biased to many people. And, you know, how old's your oldest, Casey? So, oh my stars, what a great chat we got going on here. Good point, Naya. I sometimes like that the best, um and then I because Naya's saying what I don't mind having the trans woman label. I don't think there is anything wrong with being transgender, and kind of just makes everything so easy that way, you know. Um, and I like the way that you wrote that too, with the space in between trans and woman, and that's the way it should be written. And so, amen, amen. So the dad title, I I understand. You know, my daughter's what 40. Oh gosh, 48, 49, 48, 49, somewhere in there. Um, and you know, some days she calls me Regina, and other days she calls me Dad, and you know, I kind of got to live with it either way. It doesn't matter. You know, I am her father. I don't know. I haven't seen her for a while, so I don't know what she would introduce me as. But she's she had somebody at the house with her last time I was talking to her, and she said, "Oh, excuse me, I'm talking to Regina." So, you know, with her friends, I think she calls me Regina, and you know, which makes it a lot easier for me. But yeah, yeah, with younger kids, I don't know. I don't really have a lot of experience with that. So, you know, I've never been the picture perfect parent. Oh, so at 5'11", 12 years old, that's cool. So you guys got all that kind of everything under control with the whole dad thing, and I don't like those made up words like mappa or whatever. I just you know, Regina's fine. Amen to that. I like that too, Diana. I'm still working on being okay to be known as trans woman, but I'm still happiest when people just see me as Diana and there goes the labels. And I love that. I love that. So, yeah, yeah. Casey, your daughter doesn't talk at all? Wow, you guys really got this thing going down, you know. Uh Thanks, Holly. I appreciate that. Namaste. Yes. Good call, Casey. So, dang. Thank you, Casey. Well, oh, I did a reading for today too. Maybe it's time for that. Are we ready for Regina's reading room? You guys didn't say much about my Khalil Gibran thing. So, what are you going to say about Ram Dass? This one is so. Talking about the evolutionary cycle. And so. And here this is starting off. He's coming down from drugs or something, you know. Ram Dass back in the day, in the 60s, he was like one of the gurus of psychedelia. He was buddies with Timothy Leary. They were instructors together in the psychology department at Harvard. And man, he did a lot of acid. Oh, my stars. Turn on, tune in, drop out. And so, anyway, let's start there. And we quickly move out of the first sentence. We come down from something and we treat that down as a time between the last time we got high and the next time, when once again we'll get on with our journey to God or back to 12 or whatever you want to call it. As the experiential clock ticks on, we keep developing in our understanding of how it's all working, and we begin to recognize a peculiar phenomenon that, as C.S. Lewis points out, you don't see the center of the universe because it's all center. We, in fact, are the center of the universe that has been designed perfectly in order to awaken us out of the illusion and that every experience we have is equally valid as grist for the mill of awakening. Our whole incarnation is the teaching. Next, we begin to realize that although we are all equal in the teaching quality, some of our experiences seem to shake us more than others, that the model that we are stuck in, sometimes so subtly we don't even know it, is shaken by pain and suffering and all the negative qualities. At that point, we recognize the bizarre phenomenon that suffering is grace. Now that's heavy, because up until that time, we've been trying to optimize pleasure and minimize pain. When we realize that in its fullest dimension, we may still live to optimize pleasure and minimize pain, but whatever comes down the pike is all right. Boy, am I depressed. Now there's depression. Until finally, there's pleasure. There's pain. I just made $1,000. Wow. Or, oh, I just got robbed. And the wow and the oh and the ah and the all of these alternatives are just more stuff. Beautiful, delightful stuff. This incarnation is the absolutely optimal one, and that we must be in now in order to do what needs to be done, or have done through us what needs to be done, in order to bring us home, bring us home, or out or in. It's happening whether we know it or not. But as we know it, it changes it. That's part of it. That's all karma too. And so that's my reading. I hope you got something out of that. And oh my God. And so there you have it, and I like talking about the equality of folks and the good and the bad, and it's all part of the journey. And since this is a show about the journey continuing and the things that we go through, there was a lot more to that I was reading, and God, I lost track of time so much this morning trying to find readings. I need to spend about 3 days a week looking for readings, I think. And instead, I usually have about 30 minutes to find something. You want to hear more of my writing? Is that what you're saying, Diana? I've been thinking about doing, I started a horror story when I was in a writing group a few years back, and I read it the other day. It's my only attempt to incorporate a trans character, and it's my only attempt ever of a horror story, and I just chopped it off. I didn't finish it because I had enough to satisfy my requirements, because I don't like writing horror. But it was actually pretty good. And whoever made the notes on it, was just harassing me about stopping, and it was really kind of funny because it was a hard copy that I had found. It wasn't a digital thing. And I was thinking about reading that and putting up on the channel, and, just another little tweak. I've been thinking about writing a lot lately, and oh gosh, I just have so much trouble trying to find Christy, I don't mind, but I don't know how we would do it. So talk to me. I thought transparent was good. I was just starting to transition when I found that. And my ex and I, we would sit and watch that. So how would you read it though? I mean, you would just have to print it or send it to me and I would read it. I don't know. I know. I'm trying to work on that, Naya, and that was the software that I was having trouble with, and so like I changed my internet provider and way more upload speed, but when I went and hooked into that program, I'd made some changes to it to try and slow it down. And so then it had me moving like this because it's so slowed down. And I couldn't remember the tutorial or anything. And so, okay, if I got my phone right here. So yeah, email it to me, Christy. And, so yeah, Naya, it would be, I would love to have a guest on. And so we're working towards that. And so stay tuned. I'm really kind of, how do you say, technologically inept. And so, um, so we'll, yeah, slow and steady. So you do my Gmail account, right? There it is. So it's just those two sentences or two paragraphs or two stanzas. Okay. Um, Here we go. This is from a poem, Love by James Kavanaugh. Love only endures with it moves like waves, receding and returning gently or passionately, or moving lovingly like the tide in the moon's own predictable harmony. Because finally, despite a child's scares or an adult's deepest wounds, they are openly free to be who they really are and always secretly were in the very core of their being, where true and lasting love can alone abide. Wow. That kind of got me right there at the end, too. Thanks, Christy. That worked well. I thought, hey, Sean, what's going on? I can imagine. I can imagine. That was really good. I see my dog is back. Oh, Maybe what we ought to do is God, start a Zoom writer workshop kind of thing. And then we can meet once a week or once a month and each one of us read what we've written, like 1,500 words or something. That's a lot of fun. It's challenging. And then when we get to share it, it's, is worthwhile. And so like on Zoom, we can each talk and have a moderator, somebody that's kind of chairing the meeting and do things that way too. Not that I want to like give this up, but I mean, in addition to this. Oh, the thing that Louise is doing, Naya. I did the erotic workshop thing and it was not what I really thought it would be. It was more about sexuality as opposed to erotic writing. I think the erotic was to draw people in, how people do that. It was fun, but it wasn't enough interaction. I didn't think I would do it again. I mean, it was $10 and it was really kind of cathartic in a lot of ways. And the person who was the moderator, the person running the show was queer and was a they them or and it was good. I mean, I finally identified myself as a trans individual and but then whatever, I think the question was about something to do with sexuality and what we felt like. And I just said, since transition, I didn't have any of the things that she was looking for. And I said that, and I said, because I am transgender. And then she started treating me like I just said I was a victim, and fuck that. I'm not a victim of anything. I am happy to be who I am today, and it's what has made my life worth living. And just because sex really isn't part of my life anymore, I'd rather be here living authentically than getting some and living inauthentically, if that makes any sense. And so that's what the whole sexuality workshop turned into for me is I'm just not a freaking victim, and I refuse. And so that's why I would do it again, is so I can go back and tell them that I'm not a victim. What are you talking about? Don't treat me like I'm some freaking victim, because I know exactly what I am. And so, some things are offensive even to me. Regina, can I ask you, are you into men? Well, you can ask me. And I'll be flat freaking honest. I consider myself to be bisexual. I think some days I prefer men, but I don't want to have a full-time relationship with a man, because because for lots of reasons. But my experience is that most of them are not overly honest and they don't communicate very well. So, no offense intended to anybody. It's just from my personal experiences, and I count myself in that. So yeah, that's what that is all about. I've been lucky nobody has ever disrespected me to my face. Wow. I've only been disrespected to my face once, and that was like the strangest place. It was in my surgeon's, I was in my surgeon's office and some lady came out of there. She sat there and then she asked me what time it was. And so I told her and she misgendered me. And I said, ma'am, if you would please. And she says, oh, excuse me. You don't talk like a ma'am. You sound like a sir. And it was just like and so I just let my doctor have it. So, I was floored, Naya. I was speechless because what I thought was one of the safest places in the world would be the doctor's office that does sexual confirmation surgeries. It makes sense that would be a safe place. And so I was just like, my jaw had a bruise on it from where it hit the floor. And oh my God, I told that doctor that, you need to like quit treating that patient. If you're gonna do these kind of surgeries, you need to get her out of this office on no uncertain terms, because this needs to be a safe place for people, because not everybody is as strong as I am, mentally. And that is just so unfair to let somebody like that into a doctor's office. If they can keep us out, they should be able to keep people like that out too. But on the way home, I thought of all these things I could have said to her, Oh, and you sound like a bitch too. That was always my best one, my best response. You sound like a bitch. Oh my God, Naya, I just love you. The last time, yeah. Well, if they would give me like a saber or one of those big old swords that the pirates used to have, that would just lop their frickin' heads off. I don't know. I got done going up there, Holly. I'm finished with him. I got the clean bill of health and it all looks good. So there's no reason to go back there unless I decide to do something else, which I really have my doubts about. I'm with you on that, Diana. I mean, I wasn't like totally quiet before my transition, but I tell you, in the last 5-6 years, I have blossomed as a human being and am a lot more outgoing. And, when I first moved my coffee shop downtown, a person didn't get in there unless they were really kind of frumpy. I mean, I hugged everybody, whether you wanted it or not. I would just, hey, come on, give it up. We don't let people in here without hugs. That really kind of like changed the world around here and around me. And yeah, the freedom of being your true self, and that was huge for me. Because in recovery, and I'm going to go back here because I for 20 some odd years, and I remember back in the early days, my sponsor kept saying, "Well, we'll just keep peeling layers off that onion." And so this is what we came up with. And God, what was I getting ready to? So, but there was a statement that is read at the beginning of every meeting, and it says, if we are rigorously honest, and in all honesty, I really didn't feel very freaking honest, and I've actually said in an interview one time that if my lips were moving when I was living as a man, I was probably lying. And so I'm like well into recovery when I decided to transition. And I've not had to freaking lie for the last 6 years. And so what does that tell you about what I needed to do to make myself a better person? And I can't even begin to express that the gratitude that I have for me to always be trying to figure out how to be rigorously honest, and then getting to where I'm at today, where, oh my God, I don't have to lie anymore. I don't have to do anything. It doesn't matter because this right here is who I am. And there's no reason for me to lie. And oh, my stars, what a difference a few little changes make, I mean, holy crap. Am I the same person that I was before? Yes and no. I mean, you can count on what I'm saying a lot more. And I don't know. I mean, there's going to be some people who disagree, but, well, you guys, you just come right on up here and I'll give you all the hugs there are in the world, That's what I'm all about. God, I miss hugging. The worst thing about this whole COVID thing is I don't get to hug people very often anymore. And I miss that. Holly's had one or two, and I think Sham, wherever he went to, has had one or two, and so I don't know. The life I lead is crazy wonderful, crazy wonderful. You know what happened yesterday? I actually got a call from the newspaper. They were writing an article about one of my friends, and they called me to give a quote. That is funny. I don't think that how, here I am doing this, but I don't, the way people's lives are in different areas is different, I think, from the way that my life in this small town is. And I kind of think there's somebody at my door. I kind of think it's funny, that my status in this community is amusing, and to me, because I am so well accepted, and so for like the newspaper to call me up and say, "Can you give us a quote?" And I'm thinking, "Sure. What do you want? What do you want me to say?" And tomorrow morning I'll have breakfast with the owner of that newspaper, or no, I won't, because she's in Seattle. So, oh, isn't that interesting? Life is so good. Life is so good. Oh, excuse me. Tank is getting restless, needs outside again. So anyway, let's start wrapping this up. My gosh, what a wonderful day this has been. You guys are still making plans for Mexico City, right? Whether we do it in Mexico City or someplace, we all need to meet someplace. We have our own little convention. Wouldn't that be fun? Think about it. Think about it. Oh gosh. Tank being photogenic. Tank's always photogenic. I did not open the door because I don't want to leave you guys. I think it was probably just a delivery. I was expecting a package delivered today. So anyway, what a pleasure. What a pleasure. Anyway, Naya, you get to feeling better. And the rest of you all stay safe. Let's be careful out there. God, it's just crazy the way the numbers are going up. And we want everybody to stay well. And because life is good. It just occurred to me that I forgot to turn one of my lights on. I don't know whether this will work or not. I liked it better the other way. Just fine either way. Anyway, it has been my pleasure to engage all of you fine people in conversation today. So maybe we should go out with a simple deep breathing exercise, 3 deep breaths. Exhale all the bad, get in all the good. This is one of the things that I do for my singing practice, and this is the most important thing. So breathe from so in through your nose and out. in. All right, so now we're all relaxed and everything. So let's go have a good afternoon, evening for those of you in Europe, and all day long for those of you in New Zealand. And for those of us here in the US, I guess Naya would be you have a good late afternoon and evening. And as we work our way to the West, have a good afternoon. And I have thoroughly enjoyed today. You guys are the best, and thank you so much for tuning in to Conversations with Regina, and we will talk to you next week. Just notice I got 9 people watching and 10 thumbs up. So yeah. Anyway, y'all have a good evening and love you to pieces. Bye-bye, you guys. And stay safe. How do I end this? So long. See you later. Love you.